Do you want to create images like this, or even do more complex stuff and improve on your designs? In this video, we are going to talk about layer mask and how you can use the layer mask to achieve these kinds of results. So without further ado, let's get into Photoshop. Now, first of all, what are layer masks? Layer masks are basically a way of subtracting something from an element. So if I bring in an image into Photoshop and let's say I don't want part of that image, one way of removing that part is using layer mask. There are other ways of doing it, but I find that layer mask is a really good way to to be creative with how you remove certain parts of an object. So I'm going to show you an example here, and then we'll get into Photoshop and then we can see how we can recreate this using layer mask. So what I'm going to do first is type in 6 as the example says. So I'm going to type in the letter 6. So what you are going to do is we are just going to create a text right here. So I'm just going to pick my text tool, click here and create a text, and now I'm going to make the text black, and then I'm just going to do 6 right here. So what we are going to do is I'm going to increase the size of the 6. So I'm pressing Ctrl plus T to transform, and then you just increase by holding Alt or just use your free hand. But I find that holding Alt allows you to expand it proportionally so it doesn't distort. So now that we have our number 6 right here, so I'm going to center it right here. We are going to bring it in a picture, put it in this 6, max out the part that we want people to focus on, and we are just going to see how the thing is going to look. And mind you, we are using layer mask to execute this effect, so stay with me and let's get into it. Okay, so the next thing after doing this 6 is that we are going to find an image that we are going to use. In this example, just go on Pinterest and just type stock image or something like that. So mind you, you can use any image and you can use any shape. So I could have used shape, but I'm choosing to use text just so it is very easy for you guys to understand. So we have this image right here, and I want to use it in my design. So what I'm going to do is download it. You can find any image online. It doesn't matter whether it's like this image. You can find any image. So I'm just going to copy this image right here, bring it into Photoshop, and then I'm going to paste it just like this. And then what I'm going to do is just reduce the size of my image like I've done right here. And now the first thing we are going to do is get rid of this background. You can leave the background, but I find that getting rid of it makes it easier, especially when you just want to max out the part that is important, which is the hand holding the phone. So what I'm going to do is just click on remove background right here, and then wait for it, and it will remove the background just like this. And now after it removes the background, what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to click on convert to smart object. This way we have control over our object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, and then you are going to place the most important parts, the part that you need to appear. You are going to place it anywhere on the 6 or outside the 6 that you wanted. So in this case, I want it just outside here. So the whole hand is going to be inside the 6, but then I just need only this one outside of the 6 or outside of my shape right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this a bit outside so that what I need to be visible is outside the shape, and then I'll press OK. And now what I'll do is I'll right click, and then I'll clip that layer mask into my 6. So I'll right click here and then create clipping mask. So once it's clipped, you are going to notice that everything is now in the 6, and this is not what we want. We want right here where the phone is, we want it to appear outside of the 6, and the only way in this case that we can do that is use the layer mask. So stay with me. Now to add a layer mask, come down right here in the layers panel. You can see we have 3 layers. We have background, we have the 6, and then we have our image layer. Now if you look down here, you can see there are a bunch of icons over here. Now this is for delete layer, this is for adding a new layer, this is adding a folder. So if you have a bunch of layers, you can put them in a group or a folder. And this is for adjustment layers, which we will talk about. and this is the what we call the layer mask, and this one is the effects. We will get to that, but the most important one we are going to focus on here is the layer mask. So the layer mask right here, it allows you to, just like I said, remove parts of an image. So I'm just going to add a layer mask to my object, and I'll show you how you can use it. So I'll add a layer mask right here. Now once you add the layer mask, you are going to notice on this layer here, it has added kind of like another thumbnail. There's an easy way I use whenever I'm doing layer mask, and that is, if your background layer or your foreground layer right here, if it's white and this place too is white, that means it's not going to do anything. And if you want it to erase it, it's going to be vice versa. So you have to switch it from white to black. Now once I switch it from white to black, and also if my layer mask right here is white, you can see that it's white, there's nothing in there. But then if I start to paint like this, you can see it is bringing, or it is putting black inside my mask. So it's kind of like you are using the black here to max out, but that is not it. You are just using the black to erase that image. Now if you switch it from black to white, that means you are bringing back what you've deleted. So if I paint back again, you are going to notice that whatever I deleted is now coming back. And if you notice in the thumbnail right here, you can see that the black, we are getting rid of the blacks, and that is something you need to take note whenever you are doing layer masks. If you are trying to remove something, make sure your foreground is black, and if you are trying to add something, make sure your foreground is white. Very simple. Now I'm just going to delete this layer mask for a second so that we can continue with our effect. Now what we are going to do is we are going to duplicate this layer 1. So I'm just going to press Ctrl+J to duplicate. Now once we duplicate, I mentioned that we just need this part right here, but we don't need any of these parts, and that is where the maxing comes in. What I'm going to do now is I'll go back to my layer mask, add the layer mask, and then I'll just remove. And you can see, since I didn't change this place to black, you can see nothing is happening, and nothing is happening in my layer mask. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch it from white to black, and now I can easily delete the part that I don't need. But now this is the part that I need, and this part I don't really need it. So what I'm going to do is click and then just remove the part that I don't need, just like this. Now another way you can do that is use a selection of the 6 to guide you on where to remove. It means that when I try to erase parts of the image, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a selection of the 6. So I'm going to press Ctrl right here. So when I press Ctrl and click on the thumbnail of the 6, you see when I bring my mouse layer here, press Ctrl, you are going to see there is a selection box close to my mouse pointer. So when I click on it, you can notice that the 6 has been selected and the selection is active on the 6. Now if I click and then try to erase anything inside the 6, mind you, if you check the layer mask, something is happening, but you are not seeing anything because one is on top of the other and it's basically the same image. That's why you're not seeing anything right here. But then if you check the layer mask, inside the layer mask, you can see something is definitely happening, and that's not what we want. What we want is outside of this 6. Now how do we erase outside of the 6? One way you can do that is come to select and then you come to inverse, or you can just press Ctrl Shift and then I. So now the selection is now outside of the 6. So if I try to clean outside of the 6, you can see what I don't need is actually going out. And even here in the circle right here, if I circle it like this and then I remove it, so you can see that our selection here is precise, and we can just remove specific parts of that image that we didn't really need, just something like this. And then when you are done, you come to select and then deselect, and now our layer is active. And you can see that we have been able to use the layer mask to just max out parts of the image that we needed and remove parts of the image that we didn't need. And that is the essence of using layer mask. Now this is essentially the effects that we want to achieve. Now once you are done maxing out, the rest can just be add-ons, so you can actually try to beautify the design. So I'm just going to create a solid layer right here, change the color to this right here, add a new layer, take my brush tool, make sure the brush is a soft round brush, and then I'm just going to kind of create a gradient just like this. And I'm just going to create a gradient. So with creating the gradient, I'll add a layer and just make sure I click right here so that we'll apply the lighter version of the text. Now we can change the color of the text, which is why I didn't convert it to either a smart object or I rasterized it. I didn't do that because with this, the effect is very simple, that if you want to come back and do any effect or any changes, you can come back and do that to the text. So in this case, I'm just going to change the color to this color. And one last thing that I want to show you guys is something very simple and something that you can use to spice up your designs. So once we are done with this 6, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it and then pick the bottom one, because we don't want to touch these 3 layers, because if you try to move this one, you are distorting the image and you are distorting the effect. So essentially just group them into one image so that we have them right here. And now we are going to duplicate this 6 right here. So this 6 that we've duplicated, we are going to use it to create some kind of effect in the background. So I'm just going to right click and then I'm now going to change it to a smart object so that I can apply the effects on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to double click on it to open my layer style, and then I'll get rid of my fill opacity, which is the color of the 6. Once I do that, I'm just going to come to my stroke and I'll pick a stroke color. Essentially, I'm just going to choose this color right here and then leave the size at 1. And then what I'm going to do is press Ctrl+T. We are not seeing anything yet because it's the same 6 and we've not moved it. And now if you try to transform it, you can see the 6 is actually now showing, and this is just the effect that we've created. And now you can duplicate that same 6, press Ctrl+T and then expand it again, just to get this effect and just to get something like this. And now once you are done adding your effects, you can end up with something very nice, just like what we've done right here. Now the rest is just adding. So if you want to add any other thing to your 6, you can open the group and make sure that whatever you are adding to the 6, it is below the layer. It's below the layer 1. So you just bring it right here. Immediately you drop it, it is going to automatically clip it into the 6. And this is how you can use the layer mask to do this effect. It's not really difficult like that, but with layer mask, the reason why layer mask is important is that it's very easy for you to max out some of these things and just use them to create something very creative like this and then like this. So that is it about layer mask. I hope everything has been understood, and I hope now after watching this video you can go out there and create really good images and very creative images using the layer mask. There are a lot of things involved in creating, but layer mask is an important part of getting these kinds of effects. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.